Hey YouTube, I'm Cruising the Land, or Jamie, and today I want to talk about whips. And I got lots here to share with you and all the research I did to find out what's the right whip for you. Let's check it out. So first of all, I've put it into two categories. This is, these ones here are hyper. That is actually COB. We'll get into that. That's the last one I'll share with you. But hyper, which means super bright, or of course, everybody's first whips are going to be these. These are the RGB, so it does a gajillion different colors, options, things you can do, speed, they can dance to music. So we have different sizes, 4 foot, 5 foot, and that's a 3 foot. And of course, you can put flags on them. So everybody knows all this already, right? You've seen them. You've maybe you have some early generation ones. And for me, I just got into it because I'm an overlander. I went to Sand Hollow and you had to have whips. So I was like, if I'm going to get a whip, instead of just getting a fiberglass whip, I'm going to get a lit whip. And then, of course, if you know me and my research and my detail, I went into super detail. Like, what's the difference of this one, compared to this, compared to the RGBs? And here's what I found out. Not all whips are created equal, that's for sure. I talked to 4 owners of companies that make whips extensively, going over the manufacturing process. What's the difference? What's the difference of this company or that company? So you can learn from my research and be able to make a great decision. So first of all, a lot of you, I'm sure, have seen whips on eBay, on Temu, on Amazon, and they're cheap. And here's what you need to know about whips. Many whips are made in China, but a lot of the companies I spoke to here in the US, they are made here in the US, but all of these lit LEDs are purchased from China. I mean, because nobody makes them in the US. Unfortunately, the US has slept for a long time on chips, on technology. China has just taken it over. But in China, you have great quality and you have poor quality. So the ones you see for like $100 and you're like, what a great deal on Temu or eBay or Amazon. Well, you get what you pay for. You're not going to have a warranty. Yes, they're going to light up pretty cool. And a lot of them use the same Bluetooth or what have you to choose your colors and all. But what you're really paying for is what's underneath this. So underneath this comes with fiberglass, just like a normal whip before the LEDs came about. So you have the fiberglass, depending the thickness of the pole, and these are crazy sturdy, right? You can whip it, you can't break these for the most part. And then they wrap it all the way around, going all the way to the top. So you got to start with quality here, but it's called PCB, so it's printed circuit board, which all these lights here, so these are fatty donkey whips, we'll get into this too. All these lights are on a circuit board, and it's a 2-ounce circuit board, and you see this copper, so it's gold wire with copper brackets that is behind this, what we can't see, and it's IP67. So that means, in the dust, in the dirt, in the water, in the rain, in the high pressure washing, your vehicle afterwards, these are durable. The ones on eBay are not. That's again why you're paying $100, $150 versus $300-400 for good quality, right? Like these donkey whips, metal, aluminum, metal up top. These are phenomenal. These are really cool. So what they're using for those eBay ones, the Temu ones, is not gold wire and copper brackets. They're using ultimately iron and alloy. So it's cheap, but that's how they save money. That's why they go so cheap. And again, you're not going to warranty anything. All these companies, they're warranted because they know they're going to last. And you've seen the videos where they hang a tire from it, they drive over it, they whip it, they smash it. Yeah, we get it. These are super durable. And once they wrap it, then, they put a heat shrink wrap on top of it, right? And you have different qualities of that. Look at these whips, metal up top, metal up top. This one is capped, but, underneath, again, a final good finish. These are the R1s. These are awesome. This is RLB. So I'll get into all the companies here in a second. And you'll notice one company I do not have here, which is the 800-pound Gorilla, is 5150. And you know, that 5150 stands for, you know, basically it's police code for crazy. So when someone is acting irrational or crazy and the police detain them, they can detain them under the code 5150 for 72 hours, involuntary commitment or detaining them for observation because they just are nuts. So 5150, like, oh, these whips are crazy, right? Well, what I think is crazy is what you're also paying for is the connections at the bottom, right? So these are pinned. This one has a really cool spring that twists and then locks into place. And again, another pinned one. 5150, what they do for their bracket at the bottom is a magnet with a bucket. So, you know, you get dust. There's my assistants surveying the film area. Thanks guys for your help. So it's a bucket, the metal piece or the magnetic pole goes in, so it sticks, and then when you have it out, it's collecting dew, water, dust. And what's funny is a countersunk bolt is made out of mild steel, which rusts. So over time, it's gonna corrode inside that bucket, and then you need a new mount. So these are all done in a way that there's no bucket. There can't be any collection of sand or, you know, water where it's going to rust out over time. All right. Next up is, you know, when we talk about the little LED pieces here, it's SMB and like 2835. So 2835 means the actual light chip is 28 millimeters by 35 millimeters. So whenever you're looking at someone's site, some of them disclose it, some of them don't. Like you see how this one, these are much bigger. These are like 50, 54s. And these ones, a lot of these are 2835. So that you just know that companies are using the same PCB 2-ounce board and lights, right? So it's just, how do they manufacture it? How are they doing the ends? How are they doing the mounts? Are you getting springs with it? You know, sometimes you'll see a price and it's like, oh wow, this is more expensive than the other one. But yeah, because it comes with springs and no memory springs, because you're gonna bend these. If you go under a big tree limb, bends back, at least it saves it. For instance, this one, this is the Mwhip. The base had no spring on it and was on this one. They warranted it for me, so it's super cool. But yeah, it hit a limb, bent back, and it snapped at the weakest point, which is here, because these things, again, are so strong. You really can't break it. But you'll break at these sections, so that's why you can get a spring. So you want to think about that on what type of driving that you do. Are you on the West Coast and there's really no trees or limbs? Or are you on, you know, up in Wisconsin, Michigan, or the East Coast where you've got a lot more trees and forests that you're going through? You definitely are going to want to have springs. Okay, so we've done a lot of the tech talk, a little bit more, like showing you the flags. And here's some of my notes, because there's a lot we're talking about. This one's a cool flag. I kind of like it over the, you know, bright American flag. This is kind of grunge looking. But what's key here, what a lot of people don't realize, the pole slides through here. So it's going to go all the way through, and then you zip tie it, right? Versus some of these other flags, you are going to take a clamp that sits on your flag, on your pole rather, at the top and the bottom. It's going to clamp on, and those are going to be two pressure points that this is pulling and whipping in the wind, and over time it's going to possibly do damage. Same thing with this one. Same thing with this one. So you really want to get a flag where we can see one that's on this fiberglass whip. So RLB, rear light bar. You see, it slides through the pole. If this was lit, you'd see it through, you know, this mesh type flag, and then zip tie and zip tie. That way, all the pressure is along the whole pole when this pulls, versus on two metal clamps. So little details that someone doesn't realize until they buy a flag, and then they realize, oh, problem. You're probably, you know, because of the two attachments. Now, if you have a favorite whip, you can always buy the flags after the fact, right? There's different companies, cool style, you know, like that one that I dig. This one's cool too. But you might want to have orange or something that really sticks out so people can see you, right? So just think of that. If you're buying aftermarket flags, get the one that you can slide through and zip tie. These are light rangers. The reason why I brought these out, because just one cool feature, I have a full video on this and I'll put it in my description. It's a camping light. It has its own pole, but if you have one of the flags, so there we go. See how this pops on? Nice. So imagine this is on your side-by-side or your Jeep or your Overlander vehicle or your rock crawler, and you're stopping at nighttime and you want to get a good camp light. This is, first of all, super bright, but this is, you know, going to disperse like 60, you know, feet circumference of great light. So just food for thought. Actually, I think this does 80 feet. This is the Light Ranger 2000. Now it's not going to fit all of them. Like this one is too small, so it's not going to fit. So food for thought. If you get one that has a bigger top piece, right? Like this one might be too big to fit this. Oh no, it fits. See that one? That one fits too. So pretty cool that you can have the advantage of a pole that's already sitting up high and just keep this in your car and just go throw it up and, you know, chill out at the campsite or wherever you stopped on the road, or maybe you're doing a repair and you want to have great light. And then I just brought this one, which is the original Light Ranger. Let me just pop this off. So that's the original Light Ranger, and it's a little smaller. It's not as bright, but you could see it's going to fit these smaller ones a little easier. I think it fits this one pretty good too. Yeah. So you put it up there and voila, you got your camp light. And then just remember to take it off before you drive off because it will fly. But check out the video on this for the ultimate, the best, the very best. As you know, I do my research, camp lighting. Okay, so this is spring and their cool attachment. And sometimes if you go with the same company, like here, RLB, you can have their daytime whip, and then at nighttime, you can swap it out. So let me see if I can, with one hand, show you how this goes. Hang on a sec. Okay, better if I just show you like this. So see how it connects in there, right? Look at that, it's genius. See how it's the letter J, right? So you line it up. There we go. Push down, and it goes up into the J. And it's spring-loaded, so that ain't going anywhere. So that's a genius design that they have for putting their piece in. And you see how no dust is going to get in there. The water's going to run down. It's not going to get into your connection piece. So that's pretty cool. Carbon fiber as well. Mounting system that rear light bar has made. Same thing goes with, let's see, same type of technology, except you can actually see it on the outside. So you see how that's spring-loaded? It's a letter J as well. So R1 Industries makes one like that too. This looks familiar because that is RLB. This is Whip It. Okay, so we've gone over the flags. We're going over the whips, and now for the fun part, we're going to start lighting this stuff up. Now, before we do, as far as mounting this on a vehicle, I have a Gladiator you're going to see in a second. All of these whips can be flat mounted to a rack, so no problem. But what if you have bars, right? Like a Jeep, like a side-by-side. So then you're looking at mounts like this. I just brought this one. This is by Rough Country. It's pricey because it's a lot of metal, and it's too big, right? So just to show you what's out there in the market. Then RLB makes a real cool, thin, streamlined one. These screws kind of go in on an angle, so it really locks down on the bar. And then this comes out, and you can turn it, right? Because it's got kind of like teeth. So you can put it the exact angle you want. And Whip It also makes a great mount as well. So just depending how how you want to mount it, what angle. This also turns, so you can put this on multiple different angles. And then they provide you with some rubber pieces at different thicknesses to put inside, just to make sure you get a super snug fit. Protects your bar as well, so that's pretty smart. Okay, we're gonna light these up. I am going to King of Hammers, and I know you just see this one here. It's a 5-footer. This is called Old Glory by Whip It, and it's a hyper whip. So what does hyper mean? Hyper means it's one color. It's either on or it's off, right? So this one's like hyper white, this is amber, and this is called Old Glory because it's the American flag. It's going to be red, white, and blue. Or is it blue, white, and red? One of them. And it's not France, it's America. So we'll put those on. Those are pretty cool. They look great on the red Gladiator. This is the COB. So COB, ultimately what that means is this light, instead of being like pixelated, it just goes around. It's pretty cool. It's not going to be as bright as these ones, but it's still very clear with no glare. It's just a different technology ultimately. Now, this light, for instance, has, at the 5-foot level, has 1,680 of the lights. And the reason why you can do that, let's focus in on that. There we go. The reason why you can do that, because it's not changing colors. So the LEDs can be really close to one another. And that's why this looks more like, call it a lightsaber, right? Because it's just fully, zoom again, there you go. It's just fully lit up. And you know, from far away, it just looks like a lightsaber. You get real close, you can start seeing that there's individual lights. But when you go to the RGB, because you want to do a gajillion different colors, well, that's where you're going to see like light, 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 light. So it's a little bit more spread out and not as tight as far as color. So we'll show you that in a second. And not all companies are using the same Bluetooth connectivity and choices to run your colors. Yes, they can all do solid yellow, solid blue, solid green. RGB is red, blue, or red, green, and blue, and then you can mix those to make, you know, any different combo of color, like a teal or like a yellowish, or you name it. So when you have it fully red, that's going to be brighter than doing a teal, because teal is requiring the lights to mix a couple different colors, if that makes sense. And this little piece here is so that it can communicate to the light, like, okay, you're flashing, you're turning red, you're turning blue, when it's doing all this crazy dance stuff. So I know the majority of you are going to be buying this first because you want the excitement, you want the coolness, until you realize you're really only going to have toggle between 3 different colors, or you know, animations that you like. Then eventually you're going to realize, you know what, I'm really just using one color. Then you're going to go to this. So most people start with that and they go to the hyper, and you'll see why, because it's just super bright. You can see it from miles away. And sometimes you just want amber, or you just want white, clean light. And again, no Bluetooth, because it's on or off. It's the color or not. You can't dim it, you can't do anything. It's just hyper super bright all the time. These you can dim, these you can change a gajillion different options, and you get one of these little remotes with it. But for the most part, you're going to be using Bluetooth on your phone. But if you for some reason have no connectivity or a problem, you can always default to the remote. Okay, so we're gonna light them up, and these, again, donkey, so these are like 2.5 inch, just fatties, right? If you don't want to really go super tall. But remember, this is more nighttime, right? Daytime, you want to have a flag that can be seen over a dune, hence why they even started having these. All right, lastly, again, I was mentioning 5150 for being literally crazy for the way they do their base mount, because 5150, they're getting the same SMB boards as these guys. It's all the same. Everybody's getting the same suppliers in China. It's just how they build their bases and the quality, the customer service they give. So 5150 was bought out by Trinity recently. So that's a big company looking at the bottom line. And what I like about these guys is you can talk to the owner or one person separated from the owner. So you call them up, you get the full service. Say, like, you broke it, send it in, we'll get you back. Or, oh, you got a trip coming up. All right, let's get this going for you. They're going to support you. But they shouldn't break, right? I'm just saying in the event that they do, you're protected versus the eBay or the Amazons. So let's take Old Glory and pop this thing up. By the way, since I talked to all 4 of these business owners, I was able to coax them to giving a discount. So anywhere from 5 to 10% off their prices. And believe me, whips don't go on sale. Very rare. Even Black Friday, it's minimal because their margins are pretty tight on them. So this 5-10%, it's going to give you a good deal. So in the description below, depending on which one you like, when we light them up and I show you more, you can definitely save some money. So let's go put Old Glory up here and check it out. That's the one that's going to Johnson Valley, and it's going to be pretty cool. And I just remembered one thing before we go hook up Old Glory. When you're talking about how many LEDs are coming up on a light, again, that's like 1680 on Old Glory. It's crazy. I think the Mwhip Hyper White has 1,000. I think this one here, it's got 800, 600. So those are a lot because usually you have about 240 lights per meter, which is 3 feet. When it comes to the LED, that's kind of normal, but some have more, right? Like the 1680, that's 5 feet. It's crazy. The RGB, these ones, you have about 60 lights per meter. You know, again, this is being done in China, so they're using metric. They're not telling you how many per foot, they're telling you per meter, but there's 3 feet in a meter, so 60. What's about to happen 2025, probably by the end of the year, you're going to start seeing 120 to 144. So they've improved, like the next, version 5 of the circuit, the board, PCB board, and the lights is getting these lights closer to one another, so it won't look as pixelated. Still not as clean as a Hyper at 240, but it's going to be about 120 to 144 lights per meter, right? So a meter is probably this one, 3 feet. Yeah. So you're just going to get more coming up soon. So watch that change in the market. But the Hyper is already dialed in. I don't know how you could do more unless you want to go with the COB style. Not very many companies are offering this technology, but you can see the circuit board is between this way, that way, this kind of, I'll call it a barber pole style light. It's just a solid light going all the way up. You don't see the little pixelated, each little chip of light. Okay, that's just what I wanted to share as I checked my notes of what I wanted to talk about. So hopefully this is helping you so far. If you're really smart, you might go straight to Hyper. But, I get it. If you got kids, they want to play with the lights. The wife makes it pink. Your one friend that wants to make it a rainbow, haha. I get it. It's fun. You get to do all these different things. But ultimately, everybody kind of lands here on the Hypers, in my opinion. So, all right, let's go put Old Glory up. All right, here we are in the front yard with Mammoth, the Gladiator. Yes, those are 43-inch tires. It's a little obnoxious, but this is the type of ride you take to the King of Hammers. So I've got the Hyper lights only, right? I just want to share the Hyper lights. And right now, it's going to get dark pretty quick, but it's dusk. And I have Old Glories that are on the rack and then down below. So the Old Glories, that's Whip It. This is Mwhips, and this is RLB. So white, amber, and this is going to be red, white, and blue. So for kicks, let's put on, and I just hooked up these lights to the blue Eddy here. Let's do those ones first. And again, we'll do this when it gets darker. So you see what I mean by a lightsaber? From this distance, it just looks like a solid beam of light. And that's pretty bright because it's not even dark out yet. All right, let's compare that with the amber. Of course, you can choose, like, I think there's like 10 different colors you can choose. There's my amber. So you can see that the amber is just as bright. Those two side by side, maybe the white might look brighter just because it's white, but those ambers are pretty bright as well. They're the same brightness. So it just depends. And of course, those amber ones, you can go with white, you can go with blue, red, green. They have different options. And then we'll light up Old Glory here in a second. Now, pricing. I haven't talked anything about pricing. So with the Mwhips, you can actually get, I think it's 5% off. Yeah, 5% off the white ones here. Those are 4 foot and they go for $510 for a pair, $510 for a pair. But if you go for a 3 foot, it only goes down like $10 per foot, which is crazy. So that's 4 feet. You can go 5 feet for an extra $10. And you can go 6 feet for an extra $10. So imagine $530 for 6 feet or $520 for 5 feet. And that's going to be good to remember. So plus 5% off on these ones. On the RLBs, these ones are, they come 3 foot or 3 foot, 4 foot, or 5 foot. And it's about a $20 difference between 3 and 4. So these ones that you see right here, they're the 4 footers, just like this. They actually sell for $390, so $390. You know, and again, you're looking at a pin. This pins down. I like this American Freedom, kind of like, you know, armor, like artillery style. So that pins, and this one is the one I showed earlier that's got the J hook with spring. So it springs down and then pops up is how you load that up. But $390 for the RLBs. Hey. All right, sorry about that. I'm not going to edit that out. Just my 2 dogs saw someone walking and they wanted to go say hello. So yeah, $390 plus 5% off. Both of these you can get 5% off with a code CTL5. So CTL standing for Cruising the Land, my channel, 5. So both of those you can get 5% off. $390 for the amber, and to the left is the white hyper. The only thing I'm pretty sure, yeah, these come with the mounts. This is with the mount and everything, of course. Yeah, so mount, everything, all inclusive. Just no springs. If you need springs, you'd have to do that extra. So now let me light up Old Glory here, which is going to be done by turning the car on because those are all wired up. So hang on. And voila, there's the red, white, and blue. So as I back up, you can see those up top versus the ones down below. And again, it's dusk, and you can see how the difference between 5 feet and 4 feet is a huge difference. So the red, white, and blue are pretty cool. Again, it's fixed. You can't change the colors on these. They come like this, but you get tons of light on the actual whip itself. So that kind of gives you an idea. I'm going to wait a little bit and, you know, another 20 minutes. So I'll pause here for a bit and then show you when it's really dark out, just how bright these hyper lights are. Now on Old Glory, those 5 footers are $465. However, you have a 20% off. No, sorry, 10% off, 10% off, 10% off that. So, you know, the 465 drops close to the 390, or, you know, $400 for 5 footers. Remember, these ones, if you went 5 feet, go up, let me just see to be sure, they go up to 510. So from 390 to 510 for 5 footers. These 5 footers, you know, with 5% off, these 5 footers are the Old Glory with the 10% off is going to be about $400. Again, different mounting. This is pinned So these ones are gonna have a pin going through it. You just take it off, pin it through. Comes with a spring. This doesn't come with a spring, but it's got the heavy duty, let's just call it a J-lock spring. So you push it down, go to the lower part of the J, and it pops back up and it holds in position. So that's the difference with those mounts. But it is literally getting darker by the minute, and just look how awesome those look. So let me give it 20 minutes, let it get pitch black out here, and we'll check it out. All right, definitely darker out, and you can just see the brightness of these lights. And they do cast a lot of light around the vehicle. So it's not just the whip is lit, but it's shining. You can see the shadow of the tailgate that it's creating. And then let's flip on the other two real quick here. I mean, it's not total nighttime. It's kind of halfway through dusk before it gets super dark, but this gives you the idea. You can see I'm lighting up the whole tree, this whole area. But that gives you an idea if you want to do an Old Glory. Again, those colors are fixed. You can never change them. Go white or whatever color you want. And in the end, again, pricing wise, the Mwhips at 4 feet, that's about, with the discount, is $480, but only $10 more to go 5 foot, the same height as that. Those are, with the discount, going to be about $400 for 5 feet. And then these ones here are going to be, let me think, for the 4 foot is going to be about $370 to have the 4 footers of that size, which I think is plenty. I think 3 feet, 2 feet starts to get a little short, and you might as well go donkey if you're going to go 2 feet, because the donkey are usually 27. Which you'll see here in a second. But that's what the LEDs look like. Pretty awesome. I love it. All right, let's check out the RGBs now. All right, now we are ready for the RGB lights. So here they are all lined up, and I'm going to be putting them on the green machine here, my FJ40. And it's still daylight. We're gonna let it get dark a bit, but I want to show you mounts. So this is RLB's mount. Really like it, right? Because no sand or anything can get inside. And check it out, it's off. So you see that little piece there, and it goes into like a J hook. That's how this goes on, like so. So you find the spot, there it is, turn it, spring pushes it up, and that's going to stay up. Those are 5 footers without springs. And this is just a daytime. Obviously, that's just a fiberglass whip. They do sell springs. So if you're, I don't know, in a woodsy area, forest, and you're hitting tree limbs, the whip will bend, but the spring will help a lot more. So what's cool is if you go with the same brand, right? I can leave that mount there. And guess what? I can go put this same one here. So that's the RLB. This is their RGB, and I can put that one on, which I will here in just a second. So we'll pop that on. I will hook them up so you can take your daylight, pop it off real quick, and put your nighttime RGBs. Of course, this kind of makes just a fiberglass daytime whip obsolete, because you can still have that. And if you have hyper, you can still see that thing lit up in the day. So can these. You'll see these lit up, but the hyper is just that much brighter. So let's get started. I'm going to just attach those real quick. And I haven't wired the whole FJ yet. So I've got my blue Eddy for power, so I can just pop it on and get it going. All right, let's do it. And one interesting thing, if you have the same mounting, so when you buy the daytime whips or the RGB or the hyper from the same company, you'll have extra mounts. You know, if you got 2 lights, you'll have 2 sets of these. You'll have, by 3 whips, I should say, you have 3 sets of those. So if you have multiple vehicles, you can mount these and kind of switch, go back and forth. So let me get a closer look on the mount here to show you. We'll climb up on the FJ. Okay, here we are up top, and this mount from RLB, rear light bar, it's pretty cool. They have two bolts that go in on each side, and they kind of go in on an angle like this way and this way slightly, so it really pinches. So this thing is just not gonna move, and it's great. You can see the surface area here for this light or this whip and most whips. Now there's another company, so Whip it, there we go, let me get it right. And both of these, you know, pretty thin. I really like that. I'm going to show you one that's just ridiculously thick and more expensive than these. It's just too bulky, but this is low profile. Look at that compared to my bar. Same thing with this one. It's going to be pretty tight. The difference is this one gives you a flat platform. I mean, you can go like this to fit that same, or you can go like this to get a much wider light, which I'll show you in a second when it comes to the donkey. The fat whips, those 27-inch or 2-footers, you will need this because, again, look at the difference, right? If something is really circular, it's going to hit up against this and not work, so you'd have to go with this mount instead. Yeah, and both of these, if you are putting it on an angle, like if I was to put it on that bar, they both are adjustable, so this can turn in many different degrees. And same thing with this one. That's what that screw is there that goes through, as you can see. So this can be turned, you know, 5-10 degrees in different angles so that you can put it on an angled bar or roll cage. Let me show you that big super beefy one and the donkey whip and why you would want this if you're doing a donkey whip. All right, this is Big Eddy. It's the only, you know, thick 2.5-inch whip that I have, but you can see it's just, you know, the lights are going around a bigger circle, so you're gonna get more lights going around this way. But you can see the base would not fit. Maybe it would barely fit on this side. No, not even. So you would want to go this way, which means you got lots on the platform to bolt that down. So that's pretty interesting. So this one, if I can get my camera steady, hang on a sec. There we go. Look how this one mounts. Pretty cool. Comes completely off, right? So that'll be sitting on your vehicle, your mount just like that. The wire goes through the bolt, right? And then that way no one's going to steal these. You take them off, but you don't have to plug them in to be wired. It just goes right back on like so and snaps down, so it's attached. So that's a great feature, so no one steals your whip. You can just pop it off. All other ones you're going to have to undo the wire, so not only can you take it off quickly like the RLB that I showed you, or a lot of them are just pinned, like there's a pin that goes through, but this one, pretty genius that once you put it together, then it powers up. So on, off, pretty cool. Because those donkey whips at about 400 bucks, trust me, you want to protect them, you want to keep them safe. All right, and I'll go over the pricing on the other ones, and keep in mind in my description, each one of these companies have been pretty cool, and when I contact them to ask questions, each one's going to give us a discount. 5% on all of them. One of them is given 10%, so you'll see that in the description below. But let me get this light popped on. Oh yeah, I took it off to show it to you. So look how quick and easy this is. Left-handed too. So there, I can, and it's on. Voila, ready to go. All right, I got the Whip It donkey lights set up here, not on the truck, again, because I have different mounts. So I'm just going to show you these on the ground. And all the lights are going to come with a remote. So you could use the remote, give it to your passenger. They can play around, have fun. But of course, you're going to like the Bluetooth app the best. The Bluetooth for the donkey whips here happens to be on the phone I'm recording with, so I got to use this. But I can turn them on, and you can see even here, like 5 o'clock, you know, sunlight, we can still see it. And as you can see here, I can click red, and they are bright red, green, purple. I mean, you see all the colors here. right? White. The difference, as you can see, the pixels, right? You can see each light with a little computer board between each light. So from a distance, it's going to look solid. When you get up close, you see it's pixelated, unlike the Hyper, which are much closer together. So that is pretty cool. And then I can go back to the mode like this. There's so many choices that you can go through, toggle through. You can change the speed, you can change the brightness. And this is just one of, like, I don't know, 3,000 combinations and different things you can do, or thousands and thousands when you start changing your colors. So pretty cool. And you're going to see, I have two phones with me, so I'm going to show you the, that one's pretty cool actually. I'm going to show you the apps on the other lights. But so you can see daytime, you're still going to be able to see that when it's a cloudy day. You know, high noon, yeah, you have to be pretty close to see the lights. Hyper, you'll still see those, that's for sure. All right, cool. Let's shut these ones off. But that's the, if you don't want a super tall whip, nighttime only. And, you know, if you're in dunes, if you're in like undulations and up high, down low, then of course you want something taller. Those are 5-footers right there on the RLBs, whereas that's 27 inches, which I believe they're measuring from the base up. So I call them like 2-footers basically. And then these are 3-footers, and then the R1 is a 4-footer right there. Sorry, I think the R1's yeah, it's a 4-footer. It's 4 feet. Okay, let's see what these look like in this daylight, how they light up. All right, there we have the RLBs, the 5-footers. Those are just over $400 for the pair with the, you know, the mounting system and everything. And here is the app. So I can hit green. Let's see here. Hit green. They go green, blue, yellow, pink, blue. So pretty cool. And then also on the app you have mode. So there's all these different modes that you can pre-program. So this is, yeah, this would be better when it gets darker. So we'll wait for it to get a little darker. I'll do it again. But you can see that's flashing blue and red. So there's a whole bunch of gradients. There's just tons of things you can do with it. So pretty neat. You can change the speed. So this is just changing full color. You could see here on my app, like, just look at all my options. I just scroll, 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 and you can change colors, right? So I got 92 different things here. Let's see what this blue one is. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it just separates from white to blue. So gajillion things, exciting. You're gonna have fun with it until one day you realize, I just want to have a solid color. So, I mean, you can do solid color here. Let's say you just wanted red. So you can have solid red, but then you realize the Hyper can be so much brighter than that. But if you stay within the same wheelhouse, the same company, you can just change the mount, you know, leave the mount and just change the light, if you will. Like RLB, you can stay with their family of lights. Whip It, you can change with their family of lights. They use just a very, Whip It uses a pinning system versus this little J hook with a spring. All right, let's try, as we wait for it to get darker, I have my trusty Light Ranger up here, so I can see when I'm plugging different lights in. And again, as I mentioned, that Light Ranger is on this pole. Well, on some of the lights, you can put a Light Ranger 800 on the RLBs, not a 12 or 2000, but you can put a Light Ranger on this one, on the R1, just because that top is just thicker the way it's made. You can put a Light Ranger 12 or 2000 on that and kind of light up camp, which is pretty cool. Same thing with the COBs, but those thinner ones, you want to go for the Light Ranger 800. So 800 is how many lumens it is. 2000 obviously is going to be brighter, which is that one there. Okay, enough about Light Ranger. Let's I'll put a link for Light Ranger though in my description. You can save 10% on Light Ranger if you're interested to get that set up. Okay, let's light these ones up. Okay, so this is lit up red. Let me get the app. Actually, this one is using the Bantam X and reconnect to it. But again, you can control this with a remote control, or this is the Bantam X, so I can change color here: blue, green, yellow, pink, you name it. I can go through all the colors. It also has, there you go, a whole bunch of different programs. We can see this better. So don't think this is brighter than the other one. It's because this is sitting against a darker contrast of the black tire and all. But this one has all these little options here, right? So I have a cool wheel, gradient, speed. You can change the brightness. So effective brightness, well, let's make it the brightest possible. And then speed will go a little faster. So you can see that's kind of a gradient one, a wave, they call it, comet. So it's coming down like a comet. So there's just so many things you can play with. Let's see, this one just kind of stacking twinkle stars, they call it. There's one that I really kind of dug, which is called Fire. Here it is. So look how it's like red at the base, and at the top it goes yellow and then white, and then it'll kind of just flicker. So it looks like your whips are on fire. Pretty interesting. And you can speed it up. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it's kind of got some motion to it that it's on fire. So cool things, stacking. But you'll figure your one or two things that you really like. You know, multicolor here. And rainbow when you're in the mood, just to say, hey, let's go off-roading. You just put it on your rainbow mode. You know, if you've got the wife with you, your daughter, they're going to want to make it pink and make it a comet. So fun for someone to play around for, you know, 20 minutes there. Red, white, and blue for 4th of July, Independence Day. All of them can do all this. Just different platforms. This one is the Bantam X, which I think is pretty user-friendly. And they all have a color wheel, so you can just go to the color wheel and decide, you know, what color you want. Like that. Just go through the wheel and just change it instantly. So the apps are cool. I haven't had any problem with any of these apps when I played around with them to get different lighting. So there is that one. Let's look, again, we're going to wait for it to get dark. We're going to look at these ones when it gets dark. Let's try the Whip It. And Whip It has two different types. So the last three here, we already saw the donkey, the big Eddy. The 2.5 inch thick one. Then they have the COB, the COB. So that one, see how it's solid versus this type of light. So it's just a different technology. So it's pretty cool. So we'll check these out right now. Let me plug them in. All right, here is the Whip It. Again, all of these are very similar because they're using the same, boards, the same LED lights. So this is pretty cool. Kind of shows you, see the headlights of the Jeep. It's kind of showing you what colors you're using at that time. So I have it on red. But this one, same thing. You know, you can go through all the different colors: baby blue, green, white, so bright white. Again, it's not nighttime right now. It's 5:15 sun, kind of giving us a lot of light right up in the sky, and we're still seeing these here in the shadows pretty solidly. And then all the different modes you can do, so toggling between colors, strobe. I mean, it goes on and on. There's literally thousands of different combinations you can do on these lights. But those are pretty cool. So it gives you an idea of the RGB. They're all the same with these companies. Again, not your Amazon, not your Temu crappy ones. These are high quality lights, right? US companies backing them. So from R1 to Whip It to RLB, all these are top quality, of course, for the RGBs. Okay, so let me show you the COB light. That's what's pretty cool. All right, hang on a sec. All right, there's the COB light. So let's get up close and show you. See how you can kind of see the little lights within that strip. So it makes it kind of a mix between the hyper and the RGB, right? But the beauty is with this COB light called the Angel with Whip It is you can change colors, you know, because it's RGB. So it's not hyper. It's not going to be as bright as hyper, but it's not bad. You know, it's a good happy medium if you want something that looks like a solid light and not pixelated, but still be able to change all your colors and have all those cool modes too. Like, look at this mode. That's pretty cool. That's kind of like the, I don't know, pastel faded, all the lights. Again, I'll leave this plugged in so we can look at it when it gets darker. But look at all these different options that you have. Again, strobing, you know, 2 colors. And again, you can change any color, do whatever you want. You can really sit around and play with this thing and have it do so many different things. So I won't bore you with that. I will do a separate video where I'll go over each one of these lights kind of individually. So I'll put links here as I put those out. But look how that's a tight, solid line versus the pixelated look when we do the RGB. So that's the big difference. I call it like kind of like the barber shop pole, right? It's just one line that keeps swirling up the whip. One thing I wanted to share with you is on Whip It, when they sell theirs, so they use a pinning system. See, the pin goes through, so you undo that pin, the whip comes off. Just you unscrew here the light. So see right there to the right of the light, that's what you unscrew where it connects. But they do come with the springs. These are, you know, the no memory spring, so it's always gonna come back to, or is that memory? I don't know. Whichever way it is, the springs are pretty awesome. So you can bend it 90 degrees. It's always going to come back. It's not going to take on a new shape or be bent. So that's cool that they have those on their whips. So there it is. And some whips you got to buy the spring separately. So let me go over pricing with you, and then let's let it get a little darker. It's getting darker out there. We'll light up the Light Ranger and we'll be able to see all these different lights. All right, so yeah, just walking from in and out of my house, the lighting, I can definitely see this. I have a Samsung, which in dark lighting, it really helps doing video. It makes things clear, maybe clearer than it really is. It's a little bit darker here than what my camera portrays. But those right there, those are $430, the ones that are lit. The other, and that's Whip It. The other ones, these right here, those are the 3-footers and they have 5-footers. So it's $330 for those with the spring, or it's going to be $465 if you get a 5-footer. Now, that company had Old Glory. If you remember Old Glory, that was on the Jeep, the red, white, and blue, and also has these. These are the donkey whips that they have. Whip It is given 10% off. So any of these whips that you like are Old Glory, 10% off those prices. So pretty darn good. Those donkey whips, the big Eddy, they're $515. But you know, they're pretty badass. This is metal. If you can hear that, metal at the bottom, just the way it's constructed, pretty awesome. But you get 10% off of that. So you'll get $50 off if you go for those. But more economical would be these whips here, you know, in 3 feet, $330, or $465, minus 10% if you get the 5-footers. Now, the RLB that we have up there, those are $410 for 4-footers. That's pretty good for a 4-footer. Sorry, 5-footer. And I'm comparing to the other ones that were $465. Those are $410 and 5% off. So pretty darn good with a great mounting system that's proprietary to them. But you do buy your springs separately. So these here, you would buy separately. Of course, the cheapest thing you could do is these whips right here, the fiberglass, the day whips. So those are good to have if you don't want to pull out your lights, you know, on a specific day. And then the R1 Industries, the one that had the fire option, the other ones don't, for lighting. They're top quality, and they are actually using the same mount. Let me see, because I got all the wires around here. They're using the same J. There, you can actually see it. It's on the outside. So it hooks in the same way the RLB does. It just doesn't have that carbon fiber cover on it. It's just all metal. So those, the R1s, those sell for $504, and just call it $500 and you get 5% off on that. And then the last company that does not have the RGBs was Mwhips for that white one that was on the Gladiator or beside the Gladiator. 5% off those. So those are pretty awesome whips. All these whips are great. All these companies. I spoke to all the owners. They're all top-notch dudes. They pick up the phone. These are the people you're going to talk to. It's not a big, huge company like 5150. So we're helping the smaller guy that really takes the attention, the time to obviously make quality lights in-house. Not mass-produced, guys. This is done top quality. Let's let it get a little darker. We'll light these bad boys up there. And I tell you, it just makes the FJ look so darn cool. And if you can see down on Mammoth, guess what? I still have, we went to King of the Hammers. And can you see them? Those are still on. I'll light that up one more time here in the video. And I know this video is really long. Thanks for hanging out and watching the whole thing. But I hope it helped educate you, save you money, save you with the discount, if anything, any of these lights you're going to get, and know which ones you want. Do you want hyper? Do you want RGB? Do you want a 3-footer, a 5-footer? Do you want the COB here that's lit up in red? Do you want springs? If you're in, the Southwest and you're not going to hit limbs, then you can skip the springs. You won't need them because you're not hitting stuff. Although I did hit the Sandy Hollow Bridge when we went underneath, and I did break a whip that got replaced by Mwhips. Because again, all these guys have, no question asked, replacement policies. So, all right, let's let it get a little darker, and then I'll put in the description the links, the coupon code to save, and then as I do individual videos of just the specific light, I'll add a video if you want to dive deeper on a shorter video, 10 minutes, but focused, hyper-focused on just, let's say, the Donkey, the Big Eddies, or the R1, or Mwhips, or RLB, or Whip It with their COB, or any of their different lights. So I'll do some specific videos. All right, but we'll cap it off with a nighttime shot here. All right, thanks for tuning in, and let's wait for that sun to go down. I forgot. Yes, I forgot. I wanted to show you the bulky mount. So this is from Rough Country. This thing is, if I can get it out of the box, it's huge. It's heavy. My God, of course it has to be really strong because it's heavy itself. It's a huge donut compared to this low profile from RLB or from Whip It. Those get the job done and they're nice. This is just too big, and price wise for one of these you can get 2 of those. So mounts, so just make sure you get the right mount too, no matter what whip you get. RLB and Whip It both have great mounts in my opinion. Love it. And I just love that clean look up there. Okay, go down, son, so we can put these on in the darkness of night. All right, it's dark enough now. There she is. I've got the little red, white, and blue coming down, and you can change again. So many different options, as I said earlier, with this light. Let's look at the lower light. So that's the COD. Now, hopefully my Samsung camera is picking this up, like those tight lines versus the pixelated RGB. Let's try to get it where they're both the same color. There we go. They're both red. So here live, it does look like the RGB is actually brighter, but the light line is tighter with the COB light, this lower one, compared to that upper one. But as we get further away, that's what they look like. So let's go green and green, blue and blue, and even white. See what white looks like. If I can find white on the other one, there we go. So white and white. Look how it lights up my garage door. So pretty cool. Let me go back to the modes here. Like again, you want to pretend you're police, pull up on your friend for fun. You can do that with this program. And again, there's all these options, all these different things we can do. Let's check out what this one does. There we go, the rainbow look. Yeah, so lots of options. Same thing with the lower one that you can do. Nighttime looks great. But again, I will do in the description, I'll have a link to each company, the discounts they have, and you can peruse yourself and decide which one you want. And then as I do like shorter 5-10 minute videos on each light, I will share that. I will add that to the description so you can come back and check it out. And there's a good July 4th one if that's coming up properly in this light. But yeah, there's so many different options, so many cool things you can do. It's fun, but then the hyper is, you know, the ultimate final bright light that you could put up there that's solid. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, again, this helped save you money for one with the discount and helped you find the right bar, that light whip, I should say, that you're going to like and is perfect for you. All right, subscribe, Cruising the Land. I've got some cool videos coming out, a new patio fire in glass. That's pretty cool. Check that out. And again, if you're looking at the this red light here, that's the Devos, which you can change it from yellow, red, or white, 2000 lumens. It's like the ultimate camp light you can get for sure. Bluetooth app, or you can just change the light on the light itself, which I think my Bluetooth is on the phone I'm currently on. So let me lower it just to show you really quick. They're off, on, super bright, and you put it up high so the bugs are out of your way. Look at it light up that whole space. So that's an awesome light. I use it a lot, I must say. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Happy trails, and we'll see you on the next one.